The longest non-stop routes always steal the spotlight, but it's for good reason. Not only do they tend to push aircraft to their upper range limits, but they also present a decent endurance test for passengers seated in economy class. But what about lengthy routes that have a single stop? These aren't typically compared. But in today's video, we'll examine the 5 longest in the world. So buckle up and get comfortable. One-stop routes are always intriguing. They exist for multiple reasons. It could be that there's insufficient demand, total or premium, to run a non-stop service. It could be due to the closeness of 2 airports where it is competitive to combine them. Or it might simply be due to a vast distance. Well, these are September's longest one-stop same plane, same flight number routes for passengers. Spoiler alert, Paris to Tahiti was just not quite long enough to qualify. Covering 10,245 miles or 16,488 kilometers in each direction, Singapore Airlines Changi-Frankfurt-JFK one-stop route is the world's 5th longest. This route is served daily and takes 23 hours and 15 minutes to reach New York from Singapore. On the way back, it's 21 hours and 55 minutes. Make no mistake, the world's longest non-stop route continues to be Singapore to New York JFK. This service, operated by the Airbus A350-900 ULR, captures a good chunk of the market's premium demand. As the crow flies, the non-stop option is just 7% shorter by distance than the one-stop service via Germany. Served since 1992, the stopover service in Europe used the 747-400 for years. In recent times, the airline has switched from the Airbus A380 to the Boeing 777-300ER. This took place in May 2023. Departing as flight SQ26 from Singapore, the 777 pushes back at about 23:55 and arrives in Frankfurt at 06:45 local time the next day. It then leaves for JFK at 08:35, arriving in the Big Apple at 11:10. With Fifth Freedom traffic rights, the Frankfurt to New York segment is bookable and offers travellers a little more diversity. Number 4 on our list is Sydney to Rome. Launched by Qantas in 2022, this service includes a stop in Perth. The Sydney-Perth-Rome route is 10,338 miles or 16,638 kilometers one way and uses Qantas's 236-seat 787-9. At the time of this video's production, this one-stop route runs 3 times weekly. On Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays, QF5 departs Sydney at 18:20 and arrives in Western Australia at 21:20 local time. It then leaves Australia for Italy at 22:50, arriving the following morning at 08:50. This direction has a block time of 22 hours and 30 minutes. As the return mainly has tailwinds, the block time is 75 minutes shorter, with QF6 departing from Italy at 10:50 and returning to Sydney at 16:05 the next day.
So get your passports ready and I'll see you on board. Ci vediamo a Roma.
In third place globally is Sydney, Singapore, London Heathrow. Interestingly, this is the only market in the top 5 that has 2 operators, British Airways and Qantas. The 2 carriers serve the 10,672 mile or 17,176 kilometre route daily. British Airways uses the 4-class 216-seat 787-9. Meanwhile, Qantas deploys the massive 4-class 485-seat A380. Giving Singapore Airlines a little bit of competition on both sides, the 2 oneworld carriers do of course have Fifth Freedom traffic rights on the leg not touching their homelands. QF1 takes 24 hours and 25 minutes to reach Heathrow. Interestingly, it's a little longer than the 23 hours and 40 minutes for flight BA16. Why is this? Well, it's mainly because British Airways has a shorter turnaround in Changi before the long leg back to the UK. It does, of course, use a smaller aircraft carrying fewer passengers. To Sydney, British Airways flight BA15 takes 23 hours versus 23 hours and 15 minutes with Qantas. In both directions, slightly quicker change-of-plane services are available with other carriers. At 10,691 miles or 17,205 kilometres each way, Melbourne, Perth, London Heathrow ranks as the world's second longest one-stop route. Operated daily by Qantas's 787-9s, it takes 23 hours to reach the UK and 21 hours and 45 minutes to get back down under. This service has been flown via Perth since 2018, when it became the first commercial and scheduled non-stop service between Australia and Europe. Qantas has, of course, operated QF9/QF10 for many years. In the past 2 decades, it has flown via other cities. It stopped in Singapore using the 747-400 and A380, in Dubai with the A380, and in 2021/2022 via Darwin with the 787-9. Until 2012, Qantas also had QF29/QF30 between Melbourne and London, which used the 747-400 via Hong Kong. And finally, the world's longest one-stop same-plane service is Singapore Airlines from Changi to Houston via Manchester. At a massive 11,523 miles or 18,545 kilometres, this flight is 8% longer than Sydney-Singapore-Heathrow. It's also 16% longer than what a non-stop service would be.
Where are you flying to?
Going to Houston.
Enjoy your flight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Connecting 2 Star Alliance hubs, Singapore Airlines uses the 253-seat A350-900 to Manchester and Houston. With 3 weekly flights, it takes a fun 25 hours and 5 minutes outbound and 23 hours and 55 minutes for the flight back to home base. Singapore Airlines provides the only non-stop service between the Northwest England city and Texas. The carrier has served Houston since 2008, when it flew via Moscow Domodedovo before switching to Manchester in 2016. And so, to wrap things up, have you flown part of or the entirety of any of these 5 routes? If so, let us know what it was like by leaving a comment down below. Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com.